Welcome to Hellas Footy Podcast, episode number 10. I'm your host, George. Let's get things started. Stephen, how are you, mate?
Deflated from this international break, George. The two teams that I've wanted to succeed are disappointing me.
Yeah. Greg?
Just devastated. It's probably good we're doing the podcast a few hours after the game because
Absolutely.
what we witnessed today is probably something we're going to remember for a long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nico?
Yeah, just echoing the guy's thoughts. Pretty devastating, depressing. It's very, very somber mood tonight, and just like a gloomy day we had today here in Sydney.
Weather-wise, football-wise, everything.
Everything.
Even
just such a letdown. I'm shattered.
Yeah.
I'm really shattered.
Michael can't be on the show today. Unfortunately, he's got some prior arrangements, so it's just the four of us. All right, Ethniki Omada, that's pretty much the topic of discussion today. So we all know what happened. We had the game today or last night, depending on your time zone, against Sweden, where it was a must-win match. Let's not sugarcoat it. At the very least, we needed to pull a result there, considering we had dropped points beforehand. Leading up to that match, we had a 2-0 win over Georgia. 2 late goals got us the win regardless. Bakasetas penalty in the 90th minute and Pelkas goal late into injury time. So that kind of had the spirits high. They had everyone pumping and knowing that, okay, we are now essentially in a position where we can control our destiny. Off to Sweden we go. We'll start with the first half. Chances galore. Greg?
Oh, it was excellent. You saw from the first 5-10 minutes that we were there. We were showing up to play the game, and our structure was fantastic. Our distribution was great. We were opening them up. We were getting in behind them. We had really good chances with Masouras and Pavlidis. And we had them on the run. The worst thing that happened for us was the halftime break. Because I got to say, Bukhalakis' distribution was outstanding. And everyone was just clicking. It was so good. The Swedes, not that they did this in the second half, but they were not dangerous at all. And we were just in complete control. It was the kind of game where you thought, okay, we haven't scored yet, but at this rate, we're going to score eventually. And again, but the chances we had, we probably should have buried them because this is what always comes back to bite Greece. But it was a great first half. It was, up there with one of the best halves we've seen Greece play in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Nico, now we're looking at the starting lineup and the attack. We'll focus on that at the moment. Pavlidis, Bakasetas and Masouras. How did you see that prior to the game, and what did you see in the first half that you thought, okay?
I wanted it freshened up a bit from the Georgia game just to get some fresh faces in. It's a big ask to play, in consecutive international games with only a few days rest. I would have started Zolis, and I definitely would have started Duvikas. I know he had the flu or he was ill last week, but he looked fine to me, and he was on the bench warming up for the Georgia game. So I would definitely, would have started those two.
And how did you, what was your take on the first half?
First half, brilliant. Best we played in a long time. And I thought, like Greg said, it's only a matter of time before the goal comes.
Yeah.
I was up. Just as I got up off the seat to go crazy, then you see the flag go up for the first one.
Yeah.
Then, Pavlidis, he should bury his header. Masouras, the one, he's one off the post. I thought he did well just to get it there anyway.
Yeah.
I was more critical of him in terms of not staying on side for his first chance.
Yeah. Stephen?
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Nico and Greg said. It was a very impressive first half. The formation was the right choice, albeit we lacked a proper centre back at
we'll talk about the backs later.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later. But other than that, I thought we played really well. Masouras, I thought was great. Unlucky not to have scored in the first half, in my opinion. Sweden looked a bit nervous playing against us. They didn't play badly, but they didn't come out the blocks against us, and we showed that we were being the more dominant side in the first 45 minutes, and it was impressive. And when the whistle went, I was I wish we had scored from that point, but I was excited and anticipating like the same thing after the second half.
I think you're spot on when you say they did look nervous. We came out of the blocks on fire, and it was an impressive first half. I thought we were doing everything. We did everything that we needed to do except
sure.
score.
Just like the goal.
Yeah. You get even one goal. I mean, we had opportunities to be at least 2-0 up, and
it should have been 2.
Should have been 2, but you had those opportunities, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, halftime, and we all said this. I mean, even Greg said it. Halftime is going to become our worst enemy, because the Swedes were able to go in, and they would have said to themselves, "Well, we've weathered this storm, guys, and they still haven't scored. What do we need to do to address this situation?" And
they didn't do anything good. That's what makes it more frustrating.
And yes, and that's the thing. And then we move into the second half, and it was just a complete disaster. I mean, I don't even know how to explain this, Greg. Like, it was like a different team just came out.
Yeah, we didn't have the passing and the structure that we saw in the first half, which really got us to get into space. That just that started to get shut down. Sweden started to press us a little bit higher up the field. And then we had the brain snap from Avropanos, but that whole incident comes back to what John Van Schip does with defense, where he plays. This time we saw him playing Kostas Tsimikas in centre back on the left centre back.
I want to talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
And just address stuff like that as a whole. It was a weird one, but that contributed to the goal as well.
That's right. But then we copped that. I mean, that was I just couldn't believe what had happened. I was watching the game on Open TV. Marcos Mateo was having some issues. And I saw it happen. I thought, I can't believe what I've just seen. That's a penalty. And then the commentator was saying, "Oh, he's given a yellow to the Swedish player for diving." And I thought, you got to be kidding me. Then I'm seeing the referee go up to our player, give him Mavropano, give him a yellow card, which didn't surprise me at all. But then we tried after that. Then we considered another silly goal, and it was just not happening after that. Well, then the other issue was we didn't make any changes.
And then we'll stop there as well. So we concede this goal first. Then, Nickel, how do you like the penalty? Sorry,
it's before the goal. It's what Greg said. They weathered our storm, but we should have come out firing, and that's on the coach. To say, hey, those first 10 minutes were a joke. Get subs on there and go for it again.
My question is though, what was Dinos thinking? Okay, there's a lot of lead up before that.
It was a bad mistake. He knows that.
Yeah, it was just almost like this brain snap that he had.
It was brain snap.
And I'm not having a go at the player. No one's having a go at the player because he's one of our better players. But it just didn't make sense. And if you look at it again, he's back. If Vlachodimos was in position, the ball was flying, so the ball was going to go out.
Yeah. Can I just say this goes back? This whole incident also goes back to a tactical mistake that I was worried about in playing Tsimikas. He played for the most part of it. He did okay, but in this particular incident, if you watch before the ball gets down to where Mavropanos is, Tsimikas, all he had to do was he just had to go on goal side of Isaac and follow him through. The ball's going at 100 miles an hour. Isaac's not going to get full control of the ball. Tsimikas just had to stay goal side of him and follow him through. Mavropanos would not have even had to be involved. But Tsimikas got, like Yanulis did against Kosovo, got lost in the moment. If you see what he does, he totally misreads it, which allowed the Swedish player Isaac to just go through. And then Mavropanos, again, he just had to guide him out to the sideline. And then he did what he did, and we all saw what happened. But again, it comes down to me to putting players out of position. And then in a stage like this where you can be put in a position you haven't been in. Tsimikas is not a center. He hasn't played centre back. I haven't seen him play centre back.
He's never played centre back.
Yeah,
never.
He's a winger on the left back.
And we'll talk about the tactics and all that a little bit later. So Steve, and then we'll move on here. Steve, the second goal that we conceded, because after the first goal, the heads were down. There was nothing really, the team kind of looked dejected. They're thinking, well, what can we do? There's nothing. We're getting caught up in all kinds of stuff. We can't move. We're down a goal when we should have been up probably 2. In between the goals, Bakasetas and one of their players decides to just throw handbags at each other. Absolute malakias as well. I don't even understand what Bakasetas was doing down there to begin with. He gets himself a yellow card, so he's going to miss the following match as well. And from your captain, he should know better. But then the second goal that we concede, Steve, how do you sum that up?
It was almost amateur in a way, because the moment we conceded the first goal, it put the pressure then intensified on us, hence why Bakasetas clearly had that emotional moment where he got himself booked. And then the more we tried to press to try and get that quick instant equalizer, the space opened up, and that's what allowed them to go through on goal. And Isaac got more or less an open chance to put it away, and he comfortably did so, and it was comical.
From the goalkeeper,
yeah,
from the goal kick, like from the keeper just pouncing it up.
exactly.
I mean, I've played, okay. No, I haven't played. I've played football at a park level with my mates. But anyone, as a kid, you get told those balls you have to head. I mean, it's not Greg. I mean, yeah.
Not only that, when you're playing fullback, you're jogging backwards as well. You know this guy's got a kick on him. Yeah. You're not going to play that high up again on a stage like this when so much is on the line. And then I watched Kazidiakos. He's just a bit way too casual in there. They're both looking at the ball. All three of them were lost.
Yeah, no, but you needed someone. Kazidiakos needed to get himself in that position, and even if the ball slapped him on the face, you letting it bounce was criminal, because all that happened is a ball bounces and you don't know what's going to happen, and what we saw happen, he just went and and the rest is history. And then we're 2-0 down, and you're sitting there, you're scratching your head, thinking to yourself,
and you still hadn't made a sub.
Well, and I was going to go to you there, Nico, as well. So we were copying it from pretty much the 46th minute onwards. And after we concede a goal in the 59th minute, and you're thinking, okay, well, we've had 15 minutes here where we've just been totally under the pump and we can't do anything. Let's change things up. No, they can't do that. And 10 minutes later, we cop it.
The old saying, insanity is just, not learning your lesson, doing the same repeated mistakes over and over again.
And then you're 2-0 down and you bring on Solis.
That was the undoing, yeah. The poor kid
at the expense of Masouras.
At the expense of Masouras, Masouras, he's got a lot of debate between a lot of people. I thought he was our best player on the field. You, Nico, say he wasn't. Fair enough. It doesn't matter.
I expected more from our forwards.
But
can I ask Nick, what did you expect more from Masouras?
Oh, we should. I thought, like we discussed off air before, to stay on side. A, there. B, look, as I said before, granted he's playing out of position, but at least you could kind of see why he played him there, to kind of stretch him and get him behind them with his pace. But I would have started Zolis and used Masouras as the impact with his speed.
I would have started Zolis and Masouras.
Yeah. Well, that goes to a different point, formation. Because I wanted us to go with a back four.
It made no sense that you're making all these substitutions after you're 2-0 down, whereas you could have made them when we were 1-0 down, and it maybe would have changed the ascendancy of the match, because then all of a sudden you're showing the Swedes, okay, you scored your goal, you got your lead. I'm going to put on this kid now, and Pelkas has been playing well. Put him on and see if we can change the game around. But at 2-0 down, essentially it was too late. It was, the game was over for us.
Yeah. With the centre-backs that we touched on before, like all three out there kind of looked lost. I think Mavropanos, for me, the poor kid was distraught at full time. He broke down. He knows he's stuffed up. And he'll be one of the first names on the team sheet again next month. Hadzidiakos is a shadow of the player he was a couple of years ago, and he's barely playing now club level. I don't think. Yeah,
no, he's in and
that's
out
the
of
thing with those injuries. And,
and
we touched on Tsimikas not being a natural centre back. Dare I say, Zavella might have made a difference.
Look, this is a question that I ask, and I'll put it out to whoever wants to answer it. If you got Zavella that's out, right, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, I want to play a certain formation, but I've got one of my defenders that is going to be out. Why call up Ungara? Why call him up and not play him there?
A natural
centre back. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. Why would you okay, Tsimikas is a great player, but it doesn't make sense playing in there. He's never played there. He's not a big-bodied person. What's he going to do? And you're actually stifling the player.
I can see if it was a back four, then it would have made more sense because you would have had him at left back and Yanulis further up, or vice versa.
Yeah, Stephen.
And this is something we've touched on before with Olympiacos, George. When you don't have the players at your disposal to play a certain formation, then maybe it's best if you don't play that formation. And look, it's if he doesn't trust Bulgaras, then
why pick him?
Then not even that. Then well, I mean, you either play Bulgaras, who's a natural centre back, or if you don't trust him, play a back four and have him come on for any related injuries or exactly. So. You know, and you can still play defensive with a back four. You don't need to play a back five or a back three in that, and you can still do the same role.
Nico, you might remember, Bulgaras came in late into the team, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who did he replace?
Kyriakos Papadopoulos.
Yes.
Sorry, Kyriakos. Okay, so there you go. So there's another thing that, for me. So the player comes late into camp. So the coach obviously picks him. So, okay. So in the grand scheme of things, he was probably fifth cab off the rank in his choice, or maybe sixth if Stafilidis didn't fall apart again.
That was funny.
Which let's not even we'll talk about that Malakia later as well. But my argument is that if you're steadfast and you want to play a formation, you got to pick the players in that formation. So the game's done. Okay, we'll just call it as it is. The game is done. We cop a red card in the game as well. Hadzidiakos, don't even know, second yellow card, something stupid there. So all of a sudden now we lose Bakasetas and Hadzidiakos for the next game there. It's all said and done now. 2-0 loss. How do we go from here? Like, you look at it, Sweden are sitting pretty on top on 15 points. Spain on 13 points. We're on 9. So mathematically, we're still there.
We have to beat Spain in Greece, and then we have to beat Kosovo in Greece. That then takes us to 15. Spain's on 13 at the moment. So let's say we beat them, which is no chance. Let's say that 0.01% chance. They can only get a maximum of 1 point against Sweden. That will put them on 14. Can you see Spain only getting 1 point from their last two games?
Because Sweden, if that situation happens right there, Nico, Sweden has won the group already.
Yeah.
So Sweden, they're not going to be playing for their lives. I mean, they're not going to play to lose, but so that's
really they weren't that crash hot this morning.
Well, that's it, and that's what I was going to go to Greg. What did you actually think of Sweden? Did they do anything that?
I think they're the luckiest team out there. Even the win over Kosovo was kicked off by a very lucky penalty, and then then Kosovo had a goal disallowed as well. So they've had a fair bit of luck. They've got their two attackers are pretty effective, and they got some quality players that do what's needed to get the win. But overall, as a team, they're not anything that to be scared of or anything like that. And we gifted them, even in the second half, it was basically us giving them those two really simple goals. They had a couple of dangerous chances like in the area, but that was about it. It's just a bit of a shame that we've been able to give them such an easy ride when we've dropped points. And that's the difference though. They haven't dropped points. They've got a maximum points against Kosovo and Georgia, whereas we've struggled so much against those teams.
Yeah. Look, we're going to go. We'll go have some questions here because we put it out, before the podcast a few hours ago to see if anyone wanted to chuck some questions at us, and then we'll get back into the conversations there as well. Kostaki at Kostaki __ on Twitter sent us a DM. Are our expectations on the Greek on the national team just way too high and unrealistic? In the end, other than a few players who are playing for teams in top leagues around Europe, does Greece not have good enough players to compete at a high level required to make Euros and World Cups? Greg?
I don't think our expectations are too high. Look at the Nations League where we had a very easy group and our expectation was to win the group. That wasn't too high. And look at this group where we're expected to qualify for the World Cup. I knew it was going to be tough with Spain and Sweden in our group, but the ironic thing is it's not those games that have been undoing. It's been the inability to beat the Kosovos, the Georgias, the Slovenias, that have stuffed our chances of making the World Cup. So that in itself covers that side of the question. In terms of players, we're not playing with our best players. So it's a huge juggernaut of mistakes that have happened with this team. I still think if Kostas Manolas, Sokratis Papastathopoulos, and Siovas were in this team, to give these guys some needed experience and stability, and yeah, I am saying stability, I think some of the things that happened today would not have happened. You know, we got through some previous groups that are probably a little bit, you know, maybe even harder than this group, and we got by because of our strong defense. We haven't seen that strong defense exist since we got rid of these guys, these quality guys. And Siovas was the person that got our last win against Kosovo, and then we can't beat them. And we're conceding goals quite regularly as well. So, and there's even some attacking players. Questionable, I know it's very debatable, but I think we've got some quality attacking players out there that could also help us out in attack that we don't see anymore.
Well, Fefadzidis scored a bomb the other day, and he's a natural.
Exactly. And look at our right-hand side. We're not really pressuring any team on that right-hand side. We've got an abundance of talent on the left, but we're not doing much on the right. So, you know, and we're not a team in a country that can afford to be having these great players away from the field and from the Ethniki. So that's my answer to that question.
We'll move a heap of questions here, so we'll move on. From Sokinka at SOKINCA. Sokinka. Sorry if I misspelled that or misinterpreted it there. First half, we should have saw us up at least one goal. Second half brought frustration and errors. Young players with lots of talent, but not a mature enough temperament to get through the really tough games. We're seeing promising things, and the future will see a more consistent squad. Stephen, how do you see that one, mate?
Well, that is another thing that I saw the difference between Greece and Sweden yesterday evening. The difference being Sweden have tournament experience and the know-how to get to that next stage and push forward. Because if you look at where they've consistently qualified for a lot of tournaments since Euro 2000, but I'm talking more about like Euro 2016 onwards, which is obviously where we haven't been reaching tournaments. They've progressed and slowly been reaching the middling stages of tournaments, and that's an impressive thing for a country like Sweden. And we haven't done that for, well, we're looking down the barrel of 10 years without a major tournament, and that's the difference. There's not a lot of experience of reaching that next stage in that squad, a Greece squad, and the few players that have that experience aren't being called up. So it's just a bad combination.
Yeah. Moving on there, Rebel Forces USA. George, why not have the team and subs that played against Sweden the first time? I know Tsavelas got back-to-back yellows, but why does Van Schip think Pelkas is a master goal scorer? Anyway, I don't even know. I can't answer that one for you. Sorry, George. Nick Thomas, I don't get upset anymore. Just too numb to the disappointment. At N_Thomas01. Nick, I think that's spot on there, mate. Poor Arj, so disappointing. That's at poor ARG 27996465. Hope that's not your phone number, Paul. Paul Anastopoulos, dominated for 45, woodwork twice, then come out and have two inexplicable brain fades to go along with the brain fades versus Georgia and Kosovo, and there goes our campaign. What could have been disappointing. Spot on there, Paul Anastopoulos. That's at Paul_Anno. Nicholas Lianos, at Lianos Nick. JVS never adjusted to Sweden changing tactics, to the Swedes changing tactics. We were pressed and had no outlet. Once that happened, it was over. Not using Duvikas made no sense. Goals all over them in Athens, yet he was glued to the bench. Why? Nico, what do you reckon? Do you have a theory as to why Duvikas?
Mind-boggling. Honestly, it's mind-boggling. And this is what's plagued this team and John Van Schip from the very beginning. Like, we were patient a couple of years ago because he's just inherited the squad. He's feeling his way into it. He's fixing up other people's mess. But the same problems are rearing their ugly heads again from a couple of years back. Our inability to finish the chances, our inability to beat these smaller sides, our inability to play the right players in form. It's the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Yeah, Greg.
And it's. I'm not angry. I'm not even. I'm just devastated.
Just to add to that about the Vickers, what puzzles me as well is I thought Pavlidis was probably one of the poorest players out there today.
Yeah.
And he was out there for 75 minutes. Then the Vickers came on for 15 minutes. So that was really puzzling for me.
He's just not a goal scorer. He doesn't score enough, Pavlidis, at international level, that is.
Yeah. I mean, we've always had that issue with our international. We've never.
But he's been given such a long.
But he's
run.
been given, he's almost like him, and he's almost like he's one of the untouchables, like Bacaseta. Moving on, Olympiacos EU at Olympiacos EU. Part of the problem: this squad lacks the right mix of talent, youth, and experience, and not enough leaders. I think that's spot on, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we go in depth with regards to the coach. We've got some great young players in that squad, and no one can debate that. You can see them having a crack. But
the core's there.
There's but a lot of these young guys don't have big game, big pressure experience, and it's showing. And we can mask it up with the fact that we beat Sweden at beforehand at home, and we got the result there. But if you look at those games, we fluked them. Well,
you just hope they're going to be better for this. They're going to learn from it, and we have to look forward. And we love this side as much as they torture us, they destroy us, they've ruined us, to bits. But we're going to stick by them and just have to soldier on.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now, moving on. At the real deep hand, David Panopoulos. So beat Spain and Kosovo and hope Sweden beats Spain and we are through. Lol, it's a big wish. We'll see what happens. David, I'd love to see that happen, and I think we all will. Where we go here. Okay, Rebel Forces USA again. Second goal was goalkeeper's fault. He should have reacted no matter what was going through the defenders' minds. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was too far up for the
exactly.
I think the defenders put him in that position.
Yeah. Exactly.
You'd think at that level of football, the goalkeeper is looking at his defenders and saying, "Yeah, look, this keeper just pumped it up. He's going to deal with it." I don't know. At Gilbay Batubo, we need attacking teams to qualify. Hate defensive teams. What will teams like Hungary, Greece offer if not defend for the entire tournament? I'm glad they won't qualify. Okay, thanks for your input there, Gilbay. Don't even know why I read that one. Panayotis. At Panayotis SZN. Look, I still believe we can do it. All or anything now. If this fucker makes a proper call up, we still have a chance against Spain. Fill the stadium up and make it hell for the opponents. Then it's up to Sweden to do the job. Nico, you'd love that, eh? Fill the stadium, make it hell. That's your kind of atmosphere.
Oh, I'd love it, but we're not going to get that.
No.
They're going to play it out of Waka. And if we had it all to say, if we did, hypothetically, if we won this morning, I reckon we would have got a good crowd. We would have got over 20,000 easily, I reckon.
Footy remarks. At Footy remarks. Let's play a game. What did JVS say at half time?
Yeah. I remember saying earlier today, that's exactly right. What happened between that final whistle of the first half and by the time they walked out onto the pitch? Something. What?
Hey guys, you played really well in the first half, so I want you to play worse than that in the second half, please. If that's at all possible.
Soccer man, who knows what he said at halftime. Look, he probably went in and saying, boys, let's be honest. He probably went in and said, look, guys, keep playing what we're doing. We just need to get that goal. And
that was when it was time to freshen things up and give him give us another dimension and another outlet for us to trouble them.
Yeah. We keep getting spammed by Mr. Batubo. Kozani 1-2-3. Game of fine margins. By 45 minutes, could have been 2-0 up and game over. Instead, two simple long balls and Sweden capitalised. JVS must stay on as coach. He has been exceptional. Okay, that's fair call. Fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their opinion there. I think differently, but we'll discuss it a little bit later. Nico Campuris, at Nico Campuris on Twitter. For me, it's really as simple as Dino's lapse of focus, plus PK to completely shift momentum. After that, the whole team looked lost. Yeah, look, we did after. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. And if we had buried just one of those chances in the first half, it's a different game.
Yeah. At C. Tesaris, ran their asses off in the first half. 2 posts, goal called back. They lost the belief and they could pull this off and mentally shut off. Now, Greg, that's an interesting one. They lost their belief. They could pull this off and mentally shut off. I don't know if they mentally shut off, but I do believe they lost their belief. What do you reckon?
Oh, 100%. We tried for a little bit. I think it was, after this. Well, between the first goal and the second goal, we did nothing. And we tried after that, but we just couldn't penetrate anything. The subs were useless. It was too late. Solis, Belkas, Duvikas, Limnios came on in the 84th. There was just nothing happening. And I think this comes back a little bit to, Bakasetas was shut out in this game so much. He had nothing most game. And that's just why, for me, I think Masouras was a big player for this game, because he created his runs into space is what created a lot of our open play and open chances. And then when we took Masouras off, forget it. It wasn't happening. So plus the added, what happened with Mavropanos, I think and then you had, it was just a catastrophe. And the guys, these guys, as we mentioned before, they haven't got the big match. A lot of them don't have the big match experience. When you character comes with that big match experience, and we just don't have that, which goes back to the other thing I was talking about earlier about having the guys that you need in this situation to be there. And this is why it's important to have those guys there now. But, it could, on the bright side, it might make us stronger for the next campaign, having gone through what we've experienced today.
Yeah. Stephen, did you want to add to that?
Yes, I think, you know what? I forgot my point completely. I think it's just frustrating when, I remember what I was going to say now. It's not even about making the substitutes. We've said it already, but it's not about making the substitutes at half time, because at that point, the system was working. But like we've said before, the moment you concede that penalty, that's when you have to change something, because you don't want the heads to drop and you don't want to try keep doing the same thing, because all of a sudden the thing that you were doing that was working isn't working. So you need to change immediately, fast. But as Greg was saying, all of these attacking substitutes that came on by the 80th minute weren't going to make a difference, because at that point the game was done. Yeah,
no, spot on there. We'll keep punching through these. At N_Galathakis, does JVS stay? Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Does JVS stay for at least another Nations League campaign? Because in fairness, the football at times has been great under him. And if he goes, who comes in? We'll talk about that later, Nick. Nico Celtics at Nico Leon. Despite, he's got it's a double pronger here. Crushing, some losses stay with you even after a night's sleep. This one is one of them, absolutely.
Oh, this is going to be more than a night. This is going to be a year. Que vale.
Maybe it's because we showed we're capable of at least scoring this game for 45 minutes. We believe we can perform another minor miracle, heartbreaking to come. Despite Mavropanos' mistake, I hope he plays more. The passion he had was encouraging. Anyways, if you think Manolas gets called back, do you think he'd want to come back? Always wondered who amongst you is the most optimistic towards the national team. And do you see us beating Spain? Greg, do you think if Manolas was to be called back, he'd want to come back?
Not under JVS. That's a fact. But if we got another coach, he would come back.
Yeah, I think Socrates is in the same position as well. I think with regards to the optimism towards the national team, I think we're all I think the national team in the last 10 years or so has probably made us very pessimistic, but I think generally we always want them to go good.
And I like the individual players we're producing. We've got some really quality players. It's just that the overall results and not qualifying for stuff, obviously, it's hard to stay positive when because the expectation, as we've said before, we don't think is unrealistic, because for Greece just to qualify with the team they have, they should really be qualifying. And it's not acceptable that we're seeing other nations qualify either at our expense or with teams who may not necessarily be better on paper, but they have the heart and the courage to push on and actually
Yeah.
reach these
No,
tournaments.
absolutely there. Yeah. Thomas Vasileo at Original with an E211. One of the best first halves in a very long time. Personally, I want JVS to stay and build a team for the Euros. In case you guys want him out, who do you see as his replacements? We'll talk a little bit about that later, Thomas. At Nikos _costs1. Nikos, moving forward, I believe the Ethniki Omada are lacking a centre back. Someone like Nicolau would have been ideal. Thanks, guys. Yeah, spot on there. Chilled Kiriako at Chokintas. Do we think JVS is out? Judging from the press conference, it seems like he wants to stay. Can we see him getting a contract renewal? We'll talk a little bit about that later. Mike Leventis. Είμαστε για τσιγάρα, ταυλί.
He's not wrong.
Και καλό πέραση. Δεν είμαστε για ποδόσφαιρο και αθλητισμό. So for the English speakers, he's basically said, he goes, we're a nation of smokers,
Lovely players.
and
backgammon for the non-English
backgammon and good times. We're not a nation of footballers and athletes.
I agree with him. Both of us, and the two of us have been saying that for the last for a long time, for the last 6-7 years.
Greg replied back to him: 1980, 94, 04, 08, 2010, 2012, 2014. Never give up. Bravo, Greg. Yes, for there, Mike. It's good to see you've sent us a message there. All right, we'll go into the Instagram one because I want to get through all the questions as well, and then because there's a lot of questions that are doubling up, and if people took their time to shoot us one, it'd be the least we can do is bring them up here. All right, D Vagenas _97. Dean Vagenas. Hi guys, Dean here. I've got two questions. If JVS were to leave, would you bring in someone similar to him, or spend the money and find someone more accomplished? Second question, have we reached our ceiling as a team under John Van Schip? If not, does anyone think he will learn from his past mistakes, such as his late subs and playing players out of position? We're going to touch on that, Dean, because there's a lot of things we want to just talk post-match here with moving on in the future. Constantine 14, Costas Nasios. Hi guys, my question is, what subs and tactics changes could have changed the game after the penalty that could have helped us get a goal back? How do we line up against Spain and who plays where? Last question is, who can step up and be a future Karagunis? Help push us to qualify for some major tournaments. Future Karagunis is...
I've got a suggestion.
Yeah, Alexandropoulos.
Yeah, and I was going to say it before, it's mind-boggling we didn't see him at least as a substitute against Georgia.
That kid's got it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, Greg, tactics, what your coach, put your coach's hat on. We go down 1-0. What do you do?
I'm going back to a back four straight away and inserting Zolis into the game. On the ground, I probably have a good indication of what I'll do with. I would be putting the Vukas. I would have put the Vukas on for Pavlidis way earlier on, but I would have put Limnios in there in the left midfield position. Depending on how I saw Zolis and Tsimikas and Yanoulis, I would have potentially changed one of them for Zolis and had him there. And I also would have considered looking at getting Limnios onto the right wing instead of just having Androutsos there. That's been our right side since the Switzerland game, and I don't get it. We had so much more attack there and Limnios is back in form, so I don't know why he never got utilised since the Switzerland game, which is going a while back now, a few months back. But that's what I would have done, and it would have changed. I would have used Alexandropoulos. So Shopis got quite tired. He didn't really feature much in the second half.
No, he kind of dropped off. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would have injected that energy and attacking. Alexandropoulos, he can at least shoot from distance as well, and we still had a bit of space there. Sweden dropped quite deep at times when we're in the attack. And someone that had a shooting threat would have been good there. So that's the type of things I would have done.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I would have definitely have let Masuras out there.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, no problem. Last question from Sebastian Yanakopoulos, Sebastian_.g on Instagram. A short and simple question. Being completely realistic, do you think Greece will actually qualify for a major tournament in the next 10 years? If so, what changes will have to be made? We'll couple all that up.
We have to. We just have to.
Yeah, I think we will.
I think we will make the next one. Next year, I should say.
Now, guys, just initially, thank you for all the questions that have come to us through Twitter and Instagram there. I'm sorry if I missed your question. If you did put out a question and I didn't read it out, shoot us a DM. Please let us know and we'll give you a shout out in the next episode. But we just got inundated with that many. I don't think I've ever read out that many questions. So thank you once again. Now, moving forward, it's pretty much, Project Qatar. What was it called? That when he came in,
he called it that himself.
He called it Project Qatar. Okay, so Project Qatar hasn't come to fruition. That was his job. He was hired to get us to the World Cup. Okay, he was hired for the Nations League and the World Cup and Ordinani. So, where do we go from here with the coach? First of all, Stephen.
Well, I did a little bit of digging while you were doing the questions, George, and apparently JVS's contract supposedly ends on the 31st of March 2022. Now, the Nations League campaign will start in June of 2022. So theoretically, if EBO wanted to replace JVS upon, not reaching the World Cup, which is 99% assured now, they could replace him and find a worthy replacement theoretically in that space of time. But on the other hand, there is the likeliness that JVS will be given a contract renewal despite failing to reach the World Cup.
Okay, Nico, I'm going to put this to you. Why should we keep JVS?
Well, I'll go back even before his time. You and I were fuming when we gave Skib the extension and we rewarded mediocrity. Yes. But we set off air just before we got on. Like Skib actually took us further. He took us into the playoffs and JVS won't. But there were virtually no positives under Skib and we kept him. JVS, I see positives. I think overall the style of play has improved. I think it takes a lot of guts to do what he did and just change the status quo and blight a lot of these young kids that his predecessors definitely wouldn't have. And I think, look, the problem is he just hasn't learned from his mistakes. But you can see there are reasons to keep him because I do think we're building.
Okay.
Personally, I wouldn't keep him, but I could understand if they did. I'd get rid of him personally, but as I said, I can understand why.
Greg, if the EPO were to say to JVS, you came in, you're supposed to do a job, you didn't do it. Do you sack him now? Do you sack him after? Do you sack him after Spain when it will become official? If we lose, or what do you do? What do you do, Greg? You're the boss.
Look, I would. It depends if we've got someone lined up. I think back to Dean Vagan's question on Instagram. I think we have reached, outside of the experience side of things, I think we have reached our ceiling with JBS in the sense that he keeps doing the same thing. In this, we keep, we're always constantly going into big games, and it's constant fear about what he's going to do with the back three. Who is he going to pull? We had to go through the stuff with this thing, and also,
again, with
there's players that not
forget about it again. Like the guy's busted.
Yeah,
fuck,
So I feel like JVS, he did such a great thing when he came in, and he really changed our identity. We played some brilliant attacking football. I don't know why he really moved away from that, and then started to get super defensive. We had those terrible games, even that
it
one.
Was the Nations
I've said this
League,
before. The early game. Well, that maybe have scared him or something. I don't know, but we actually, used to create a lot of chances. Then we went to that Spain game one, and got that lucky penalty and got a draw there. But then the games after, prior to the Sweden game that we won, we were so poor. And then what we did, we didn't play fantastic football under Skib. But one thing we did under Skib that I guess looking back now, we took for granted, if you could say that, was we still had that really effective backline that wouldn't concede easy goals. And that's what worked for us. And that's been our identity for a long time. So that sort of things has been lost. We're bringing in inexperienced players when we could have had, I still think, even Siovas, Papastathopoulos, who I don't really think did anything that bad. If we had them at the back, that would have been a totally different team. We wouldn't be conceding so many goals like we do. And then they're compiled upon the fact that the rest of the team doesn't have that experience to rely upon or to rely upon in situations like we had today. And then again, we're only basing our attacking game on Bakasetas all the time. Now he can have a good game here and there, but that's the only option we have all the time. Now we're going to go into the Spain game. He's suspended, and we're going to have to rely on Mandalos, who's a little bit hot and cold at the moment. And then the street smart of the team. If Tavelas doesn't get that silly yellow card in the Georgia game, he could have potentially been there today, and we avoid having Tsimikas there. Now we've had Bakasetas get that silly yellow card in this game against Sweden, and we're not going to have him there against Spain.
Hatzidakos as well.
Hatzidakos will be gone. So there's stuff like that which I think are just really shown a real lack of leadership from the guys who we probably expect to show leadership.
Well,
so that in itself is a problem.
And that was the thing, Greg, because we talk about we don't have any big game players, we don't have any big time players that really should be able to take control. Like, okay, our goalkeeper, he's probably the one that has that experience, playing for his club and the high pressure that he's always under at Benfica there. But if you go back a few years ago, Tavella was basically a weak link when we had all those big time players in the squad. Hence why he was never picked for a while. Now he's come back, and all of a sudden, as I said, he fell out of the balcony, out of the first floor window into the bloody penthouse, because a few years ago he wasn't good enough, and now we're ruling the fact that he's not in the team. And we're disappointed that he's not in the team. And we're thinking to ourselves, how did we get to this situation? And it's not a blot on him. He's a good player. He's a good enough player for the Super League. But
it's not only that, though, George. It's because he has shown desire and a certain, despite the fact he has a ceiling of his quality, he's shown the leadership and the willingness to play.
He has.
He would have made
no,
a
I'm not, and I'm not saying you're not saying that. But
he would
that's
have.
the reason why we were missing him, because he would have been important in this game. He would have been important to have as part of the back three.
But my point is that if you pick your team on merit, and what you need to do is bring it in for the forget about the ostracised players. He's not even in the squad, and that's my argument. So if you pick the team based on who deserves to be in there because they've been playing and their quality and they've got the big game experience and they've got they've got it all there. He's not even in the squad. Yet he's there now. We rely on him, and like what Greg said, he goes and does some malakias in the previous game that puts himself out. It's just, and then you've got the coach that makes these silly decisions that ends up playing one of the game's best left backs, a zippy left back, as a centre back. What the fuck are you going to do with a zippy left back? Well,
yeah, especially a player who had the best. The stats came up a game like the day or two before. Tsimikas has the best dribbling completion of any player in the qualifiers, and it's by quite a bit as well from first to second.
Yeah,
and you play him there. I don't know.
It never made sense.
If all things were said and done, and you could have an unlimited, it doesn't matter who you pick. Everyone's allowed to be picked for the Ethniki at centre back. For me, the only player from the centre backs who were called up who would still be picked if all other players were available is probably Mavropanos, to be honest. And he wouldn't. He might start a game or two, but I don't think he'd start as consistently. So
these guys are great. Really. These guys are great. And Siovas, when he got kicked out of the side, and Greg's spoken about this many times. Siovas got kicked out of the squad for basically saying that these young guys are the future, but these young guys need older guys to guide them a little bit.
And that's exactly what we've missed.
Greg, have I missed anything? I mean, that's pretty much what he said. He didn't say these young guys aren't good enough. He goes,
Yeah.
these guys are good enough. They're the future, but they need us older guys. Like when I was that young guy all those years ago, and I had the older guys show me the way. Greg.
And he was being very kind because he was talking about Zvarnas at the time.
He was too, wasn't
You
he?
never know, Greg. With some guidance, you know, he could still be decent. If
He was talking about Zvarnas. All right. So now the question there for me, do you keep the coach? I say no, because forget about he's done some really good things within the squad. Like he's brought in some young great players and all that kind of stuff. My concern is that if you keep the coach, it becomes a situation like Skibbe, where he failed to get you to the tournament that you wanted to. His contract expired, you renewed it, and then you sacked him later on because he kept failing as well. So I think sometimes we just need that clean break, Nickel.
Yeah, a clean slate. Yeah.
A clean slate saying, listen, no hard feelings, you did the job.
Yeah, no. Personally, I'd get rid of him. His time for me won't be a success and it won't be a failure at the same time.
No, it'll be somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Like, I'm not going to hate the guy. It just, it didn't work out. We can't send that message out there like we did a few years back and, we tell these players, okay, it doesn't matter next time, mediocrity.
Well, and that's my concern. That is exactly my concern.
To be better.
Yeah, like you can't say, okay, well, we failed, but we're going to keep the coach.
Though, who's out there? Really, no serious Xeno is going to take the job.
I don't think we need it. I think we need to stay away from Xeno. I think the name is slapping us in the face, Donis. I'm not even a Panathinaikos fan. I don't even rate him as a high quality club coach. But I don't think you need high quality.
I like him as a coach. He's got his flaws as everyone has, but I like him. But it's going to open another can of worms there with his sons or son.
Nah, these sons are finished.
I hope they're not near.
Do you think he's going to bring Tasso in? He's definitely not going to bring Christo in the team.
Not Christo, but I don't know about Tasso. I don't know.
Is Tasso even playing? Like he gets 5 minutes, I think, for Reams or something here and there. Yeah, Greg. When the rumors were coming out that Donis was Melly was looking at Donis potentially at AEK, you actually were happy. Is he someone that you would think?
Yeah, look, I do rate Donis. I think he's a good coach. I've seen him change match. I've seen him do tactical changes during the match to change a match to work in his team's favour, which is something that we know JVS has been very weak at. He knows the players, and I think he showed at his time in Panathinaikos that he's actually good at working with the young players and can really get them up for a game.
Word for word. Yeah. Word for word, what I was going to say. You cast your mind back. It was the 18-19 season. We were one of the favourites for relegation. He took over. We started on -6, I think it was.
Yeah,
-6. And it's exactly what Greg said about the young players.
I like him as well. Seeing him from afar as an Olympiacos fan, and seeing him, he's just got that. As I said, I don't think he's tactically. I don't know. I never rated him, but I probably didn't watch him enough.
He'd get us up for games. Like we wouldn't collapse the way we do now.
I just think he's got the personality to be able to deal with the wankers in the team.
He'd have the respect of the players as well. He wouldn't demand it and not get it. He would have it. Because I think. Yeah. I think the big name players would respect him.
I think so too. I think the only issue that he'd have early on is that his Panathinaikos link, and it might upset a few Olympiacos fans. Me personally, I think he's at a crossroads in his career as well. So I think if he went in there with Panathinaikos mindset, he wouldn't, but I don't think he would. I just think he's got the runs on the board. I think he's got the ability to be able to coach the side. I think he's got the ability to be able to deal with the players and the egos. And I always harp on back to what's his name? To Otto Rehagel, sorry. He removed players from the side, but his gamble paid off. And you can say, okay, well, he did it, it paid off. JVS removed players from the side. Unfortunately, his gamble didn't pay off there.
You live and die by your decisions, and
That's
you follow
right.
your sword. Yeah.
And in between all that, Santos, when he moved on from Greece, he was quoted saying that there's some real tough characters in this side, and I had to deal with a lot of massive egos in this team. But good coaches can, and he said that after when he moved on, he never complained about it. Well, I don't remember him saying anything about it during his era.
I'd
Well, he
love
never
to know
called
who
out
those
players.
egos were.
Well, let's
Yes.
look back. You know,
Navelas, we know. Katsouranis.
yeah.
Magnatis.
Magnatis, I said. I don't know about
Yeah,
Tziolis.
Magnatis.
Maybe Tziolis,
Yeah.
maybe.
Magnatis.
Solis, nah, he was a professional.
Yeah.
No.
Tziolis, was
Yeah,
he?
no, I thought-
Okay.
no, I
No,
thought
he
he-
was prime. He was
Yeah.
very sensible guy.
Okay.
He was
We
good.
shitted on the guy,
It wasn't-
but yeah, he was.
Nah, we
Yeah.
shitted on the guy when
No,
he
no,
was
but-
club when Skibby was picking him and he didn't have
Yeah.
a club.
But character-wise, I don't think we can question him. I think it's more Zavelas, Magnatis, Katsouranis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
probably
guessing.
Mitroglou, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Manolas, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Everyone knows he's a prickly character. That's never been, but he's talent-wise, he's probably our best defender. But I digress. Yeah. So, Greg, in your heart of hearts, what do you do? What do we do from now? What do we do we from here with our last two matches? JVS is going to more than look. It'd be
Look,
They're not
just
gonna
got to
get rid
go
of
for it.
they're not going to get rid of him. But what does he do? Does he say, okay, I want the job and I'm going to show you guys by building, or is he going to go for just try to get results?
No, he's just got to try and get results. There's not much to build on with 2 games to go. He'll probably go with this 3-5-2 that he's been using recently. And for heaven's sake, I really hope he learns from the mistakes. It's just something that he's constantly fallen on, just not learning from the mistakes. And it's going to be interesting because with Hatzidiakos out, we're going to get Zavelas back actually, so that's going to fill that. I'm just wondering if we're, what's our next headache? So who's going to be the back 3? Mavropanos will be there, Zavelas will be there, but then Hatzidiakos is going to be out. So do we have that nightmare again of Stafilidis? So that's going to be interesting to see. And who is he going to put another left back? Hopefully, Kyriakos
Going to play
Papadopoulos will
2
be
left
okay and he'll be
backs
all right.
either side of Mavropanos.
Yeah.
dude.
It's interesting there. I think he deserves to see out. Like initially, I was saying,
Yeah.
he deserves to see out his contract.
He does. Absolutely.
Also,
I think
it's
it'd be
cheaper for Ebo if he does that.
It'd be fitting if he actually puts Limnios back at right wing, and for the last 2 games, Limnios is starting to grab some form. Actually does some damage down there because I really think Androutos has done okay at right back, but I still think we need a lot more firepower that we had when he initially started, and Limnios was that firepower. So
and that's
I'm
another
curious to see
question.
if he does
Greg.
anything with
Like,
that.
we can't address that right back problem no matter how much we try. The coach doesn't. Like there's players that he could have chosen. There's players there that are right backs that he doesn't choose. And Androutos he's been barely getting any minutes at Olympiacos as well. So it never made sense why he's all of a sudden playing him now.
It's like Pavlidis up front. Favorite.
Yeah, like there's certain players that he just likes, and okay, I get that. But it gets to a point whereas if you're picking a guy out of position, he's not getting any minutes at his club. He's playing and he's coming on in the midfield. Like he's not playing that in that position that you want him to excel at and playing the game that we need to win. So it's interesting, Then you got this George Baldock situation here, we were talking, he wanted his passport and all that. What happened? He's a natural right back, and okay, they got relegated, but he's a right back. Okay, he's got a great grandfather or grandmother.
Kotsiras never got given a chance.
Kotsiras never got. Yeah,
another good right back. Never got given a chance.
He's been a bit patchy for us.
Yeah,
He's still young though. Young.
but
I think he's older than what we.
He's 28.
Yeah,
He's
he's
28.
my age group.
But
Yeah.
Saliakas, the Pasterna right back, that's the backup. Every time he came on, he looked good, and he's been playing good for club football. I really don't get why he's got such limited opportunities. He actually did. He would have done well if he got an opportunity. And you're playing Androutos, who's getting tired every game. It's 2 games in a row. Come on, man.
it just
Get some fresh legs in there.
And that's it's Murphy's Law, boys. We're probably going to beat Spain
and then lose to
Kosovo.
Kosovo.
We have. I
No,
doubt we haven't beaten
We're
Spain.
probably going to
Yep.
beat Spain and Kosovo, but we're still going to finish third.
We haven't beaten Spain in nearly 20 years. And the last time we beat them,
03, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2003.
Yeah.
I think we spoke
Yiannopoulos.
about it. Yeah, last time. Yeah. Look, I don't know. I think it's very disappointing. I was shattered this morning. I think everyone was shattered either in the morning or night time, wherever they were. I had to get off social media because I was just seeing a whole heap of different opinions. Some I agreed with, some I vigorously disagreed with, and I just
That's
thought
social media, George.
social media, stay
Yeah.
away from it, especially when you're not in a good mood. So it was time to move on from that. On another note, boys, Super League coming up this weekend.
Ionikos at home. I don't even want to think about it. That's not even in my mind yet.
Yeah,
I'm just so down from this game.
we'll look at the matches coming up this weekend. So Apollo and Sydney play Asteras. Asteras are having a shocker, so hopefully they can get their seasons back on track there. Panathinaikos, host Ionikos. PAOK Volos.
That's the big game because they're both top two.
Ooh, top of the table clash.
Come on,
Volos.
That's going to be an interesting match there.
You
Panathinaikos.
think BAOK?
Yeah,
You think BAOK will win that?
Well, Volos lost to Yormont, didn't they, Nico?
Yeah, well, not lost. It's smashed.
Yeah, so they've had a good run of results, but I think because they've played all the lower teams.
Well, let's do this every season though. They always are like top half, and then by the end of it,
they'll finish seventh.
The rest in like top relegation playouts.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if the international break did bulk bad because they were starting to really pick up some form. So see if they can pick up from that.
Well, then their strikers
scoring.
Scored, yeah.
Detsky,
yeah,
and the other guy, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Oh, Mitrita or something.
The guy on the right, the
Romanian.
Yeah. So he
it was a nice little header, that one.
Panathinaikos host Orfi, so Orfi are going to want to try to get a result away from home on a Panathinaikos side that have been playing some decent football. Greg, your boys AEK host Atromitos. Just some news as well. You guys sacked your coach. What was that about?
Yes.
Well, okay. Was he sacked or did
he got an offer? He got an offer. No, I think. Look, he has definitely not. He didn't set the world on fire with us. So, and then an offer came through from a Saudi Arabian club for. I don't really know how much, but I understand it was a pretty lucrative offer. And so we went. We both agreed. And
was there a transfer fee? Was there a transfer fee?
There was, but it never really got disclosed.
Okay, so it's an undisclosed fee that the club got to release it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was mutual.
And then Yannick is the guy that coached Pasianina last year.
Yes.
Yeah, we both agreed.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that?
As usual, there's a lot of mixed reaction to this. It's a bit of a risk. He hasn't, most of his career has been in the German second division and lower. But in Pasianina last year was the first real first grade of a big league team that he managed. And he did all right there. He upset some big teams and he played some good football. He's got a decent team behind him. He's got some Germans in that team, some good Greeks in there as well. And he likes to play a 4-4-2 when a high press, a high press is nothing new to us, but it'd be good to see a slightly different system with the team. Hopefully he can get us gelling a bit better than what we did with Milojevic because we've got a really good squad. They never really gelled under Milojevic. So there's some, hanging fruit there that this guy can really take advantage of and do some damage. So I really hope it works out and he proves a lot of people wrong.
8 coaches in 4 seasons at AEK.
Look,
there's millions that just can't calm his farm.
Yeah, look, we don't know what's going on there without being there, but
that's including caretakers and all that, mind you. So.
Yeah, I've questioned our people management for a few years now, especially since he won the championship. So I've got a huge question mark on what's going on with that. even the way we've treated players that have left as well and stuff like that. So we need some stability, and we need the guys in management to get their stuff together.
And the issue with situations like that is when you have such a high turnover of coaches, is generally a new coach will want his players, right? That's how it works. They'll come in, they'll be like, oh, look, I really like so-and-so that I coached last year, this and that. But the issue is because you've had that many turnover of coaches, every window the coach has brought in players and you've not necessarily gotten rid of players. So you'll have players at your club now that were signed by Uzuniris. Or, there's players at the club that were signed by 4 or 5 coaches ago that are still there. And, and that's the issue. Like, I think Mealy needs to just pull up his handbrake and just give a coach a good season or 2 to really have a crack and to really build something there. So, because you got everything. You're going to have your new stadium next year as well. So, you're going to play any games this season, or is it going to be this season?
No, next season. So next season. No, it was initially going to be that, but it'll be next season.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Pasianina host Olympiacos. Steve, we should. We should.
They're a tough nut team. It'll be difficult.
Yeah, they're on 9 points. They're sitting pretty in 5th spot, so they've had a good start for the season.
And we've got players coming back from international duty who'll be tired, obviously.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. Yeah, I hope we win as always. But Bus are proving to be, like I said, a very decent side this season.
Yeah. And final match of the round, Lamia host Aris. So Aris now they're still disputing those points deduction, but they're on 2 points, so they've climbed out of the minus. So they hopefully want to be moving up with Lamia on 4 points. So you would think that Aris should get the job done there. Guys, I think that's it. That's the end. A bit of a deflating week or deflating day, of watching the Ethniki, but look, that's football, I guess. Someone's got to win. Like my mum always used to say to me when I used to crack it, someone's got to win and someone's got to lose. I'm like, yeah, thanks, Mum. There you go. As usual, guys, look, to everyone that listens to the podcast, thank you for listening. We really appreciate the support that you guys give us. If you do listen to us on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever it's called, if you could give us a 5-star review, that would be fantastic. If you've got any questions for the podcast or anything that you want to shoot us, just shoot us a DM in any of our social pages. More than happy to answer. We pretty much answer everyone's question, and try our best to give something solid rather than just whatever question, whatever reply. So thanks for the listening. Thanks for the support. And I think, we'll come back next week and we'll talk a bit of Super League and go from there. Gentlemen, good speaking to you. Steve, Nico, Greg. Tatapume.
See you next time. Ciao.
Right. Bye-bye.